When Madonna saw the sign in the front row that read, "My Last Concert, Stage 4 Cancer," she immediately stopped singing Live to Tell and walked to the edge of the stage. What she did next for 16-year-old Aria Stevens would break the hearts of 60,000 people and create a foundation that's now saved over 1,200 young cancer patients. It was August 3rd, 2019, at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Madonna was performing her Madame X tour to a sold-out crowd of 60,000 fans. The energy was electric, the stage production was flawless, and Madonna was in her element, commanding the massive arena with the confidence that only comes from decades of performing. She was halfway through Live to Tell, one of her most emotionally resonant songs, when something in the front row caught her eye. Among the usual concert signs and screaming fans, one piece of cardboard stood out with devastating simplicity. "My Last Concert, Stage 4 Cancer. Thank you for the music, Madonna." The girl holding the sign was tiny, maybe 90 pounds, with a bright pink head wrap covering her bald head and tears streaming down her face. She wasn't screaming or dancing like the fans around her. She was just standing there, absorbing every moment, knowing it would be her last. Aria Stevens had been diagnosed with osteosarcoma, bone cancer, 18 months earlier, just 3 days after her 15th birthday. What should have been a celebration of her teenage years became the beginning of the hardest battle of her young life. The doctors had been optimistic at first. Osteosarcoma, while aggressive, was often treatable in young patients. Aria underwent months of brutal chemotherapy, lost her beautiful long brown hair, and endured surgeries that left her weak and exhausted. But despite everyone's best efforts, the cancer had spread. By June 2019, doctors delivered the news that no 16-year-old should ever hear. The cancer had metastasized to her lungs and spine. They gave her 3 to 6 months to live. Aria's response to this devastating news surprised everyone who knew her. Instead of despair, she felt a strange sense of clarity. She made a list of everything she wanted to do with the time she had left, and at the very top was seeing Madonna perform live.
Aria had been a Madonna fan since she was 7 years old, when her older sister played Material Girl during a family road trip. Over the years, she'd collected every album, watched every music video, and dreamed of one day seeing her idol perform live. When she learned that Madonna's Madame X tour was coming to New Jersey, Aria knew this was her chance. Using money from her college fund, money she now knew she'd never need, she bought the most expensive tickets she could afford. Front row, center stage. Her parents, Maria and David Stevens, were heartbroken but supportive. They'd already accepted that their daughter's time was limited, and if seeing Madonna could bring her joy in her final months, they would make it happen. "This isn't about dying," Aria told them while making her concert sign. "This is about living. I want to live as hard as I can for as long as I can. And tonight, I'm going to live in the music." Madonna had seen thousands of signs over her decades of performing, but something about Aria's message stopped her mid-song. The brutal honesty, the gratitude despite unimaginable circumstances, the courage it must have taken to write those words, it all hit Madonna like a physical blow. She lowered her microphone and walked to the edge of the stage, looking directly at Aria. The music continued behind her, but Madonna's attention was completely focused on the small girl in the pink head wrap. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Madonna asked, her voice carrying through the stadium's sound system. Aria looked up in disbelief. She'd hoped Madonna might notice her sign, but she never expected direct interaction. "Aria," she managed to say, her voice barely audible, even with the microphones picking it up. "Aria," Madonna repeated, and the name echoed through the massive stadium. That's a beautiful name. It means melody, doesn't it? Aria nodded, tears flowing freely now. Aria, I see your sign, Madonna said, her own voice beginning to crack with emotion. Can you tell everyone here what it says? With trembling hands, Aria held up her sign higher so the entire stadium could see it. The cameras captured the moment, projecting it onto the massive screens around the venue.
My last concert, stage 4 cancer. Thank you for the music, Madonna. Aria read aloud, her voice somehow carrying clearly through the now silent stadium. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. 60,000 people fell completely silent, and then, as the reality of what they just heard sank in, many began to cry. This wasn't just another concert moment. This was a young girl's final wish playing out in real time. Madonna knelt down at the edge of the stage, bringing herself closer to Aria's eye level. Aria, how old are you, sweetheart? 16, Aria replied. 16, Madonna repeated, the weight of that number hanging heavy in the air. And you chose to spend one of your precious nights with me? Your music saved me, Aria said, her voice stronger now. When I was scared during treatments, when I couldn't sleep because of the pain, when I wanted to give up, your songs reminded me that I was strong enough to keep fighting. Madonna stood up and turned to address her entire crew and band. Everyone, I want you to meet Aria Stevens. She's 16 years old, she's fighting the fight of her life, and she chose to spend tonight with us. I think that makes her the most important person in this stadium. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers, but Madonna held up her hand. Aria, I have a question for you. I know this is your last concert, but would you like to make it your first performance too? Would you come up here and sing with me? The invitation sent shockwaves through the stadium. Madonna had occasionally brought fans on stage before, but never in circumstances like these, never with such emotional weight. Aria looked at her parents, who were crying and nodding encouragingly. Security helped her navigate to the stage stairs, and within minutes, she was standing next to her idol in front of 60,000 people. What would you like to sing, Aria? Madonna asked, putting her arm around the girl's tiny frame. Aria thought for a moment. There were so many Madonna songs that had meant so much to her over the years, but one stood out. Could we sing Live to Tell? It's about surviving and finding strength, and it feels right. Madonna's heart broke and swelled simultaneously. Live to Tell was indeed about survival, about finding the courage to keep going when everything seems hopeless. For Aria to choose that song, in her circumstances, showed a wisdom and bravery that left Madonna speechless. Of course we can, sweetheart, Madonna said. Do you know all the words? Aria smiled, the first genuine smile Madonna had seen from her. I know every word to every song you've ever recorded. What happened next became one of the most emotional performances in concert history. Madonna and Aria stood together at center stage, sharing a microphone, and began Live to Tell. Aria's voice was weak from her treatments, but it was pure and sweet, and when it blended with Madonna's powerful vocals, something magical happened. The song took on new meaning, sung by a woman who had survived decades in the brutal music industry and a girl who was fighting for every day she had left. When they reached the chorus, I have a tale to tell, sometimes it gets so hard to hide it well. Aria's voice grew stronger, as if the music itself was giving her energy. The stadium was completely silent except for their voices. 60,000 people were witnessing something unprecedented, not just a performance, but a moment of pure human connection in the face of mortality. As the song continued, Madonna began to improvise, turning the performance into a conversation with Aria. You have so much strength, more strength than you know. Your music taught me, Aria sang back, her voice now carrying clearly through the arena. "What else did it teach you?" Madonna asked, still singing. "That every moment matters, that love is the only thing that lasts." By this point, there wasn't a dry eye in the stadium. Camera phones were recording from every angle, but most people had forgotten about documenting the moment and were simply living it. As Live to Tell ended, Madonna held Aria close and spoke directly into the microphone. "Aria, you said your music saved you, but I think you've got it backwards. Tonight, you've saved all of us. You've reminded 60,000 people what courage really looks like." "Aria, I want to make you a promise, right here, right now. Your story, your bravery, your beautiful spirit, it's not going to end when this concert ends. I'm going to make sure that other kids facing what you're facing have the support they need to keep fighting." Madonna turned back to Aria. "What would help kids like you the most?" Aria thought for a moment. "Money for treatment isn't enough," she said. "What we really need is hope. We need to know that our dreams still matter, that our lives still have purpose, even when they're shorter than we planned." Madonna made a decision that would change thousands of lives. "Tonight, we're starting the Aria Stevens Foundation," she announced to the stunned crowd. "It's going to provide not just financial support for young cancer patients, but experiences, concerts, art classes, recording sessions, anything that reminds these incredible kids that they're not just patients, they're dreamers." The crowd erupted in applause, but Madonna wasn't finished. "And Aria, I want you to help me run it. For however long you're able to, I want you to be part of deciding how we help other kids. Your wisdom, your perspective, that's what's going to make this foundation special." Aria was sobbing now, but they were tears of joy mixed with sadness. "I would love that," she managed to say. Videos of Madonna and Aria's duet spread across social media within hours. The hashtag #AriaStrong began trending worldwide as people shared the footage and their own stories of fighting cancer or supporting loved ones through treatment. Major news networks picked up the story, and within 48 hours, the newly announced Aria Stevens Foundation had received over $2 million in donations from around the world. But the impact went beyond money. Hospitals reported that young cancer patients were asking to watch the video during their treatments, finding inspiration in Aria's courage and Madonna's compassion. Aria lived longer than doctors had predicted, and she spent much of that time working with Madonna to establish the foundation. They met regularly via video calls when Aria was too weak to travel, planning programs and reviewing applications for support. "She had more wisdom at 16 than most people develop in a lifetime," Madonna said later. "Every decision we made for the foundation was informed by her insight into what young people facing terminal illness really need." Aria helped design programs that went beyond traditional medical support. The foundation provided music lessons for kids stuck in hospitals, funded trips to see favorite artists perform, and created recording studios where young patients could create their own music as a form of therapy.
Aria Stevens passed away peacefully on March 15, 2020, 7 months after her night on stage with Madonna. She lived longer than doctors had predicted, and she spent that extra time creating something that would outlive her. At her memorial service, Madonna performed Live to Tell acoustic, dedicating it to the girl who had shown her what real strength looked like. "Aria taught me that music isn't just entertainment," Madonna said at the service. "It's medicine, it's hope, it's proof that beauty can exist even in the darkest circumstances." Today, the Aria Stevens Foundation has helped over 1,200 young cancer patients across the United States.
The programs Aria helped design have been adopted by children's hospitals nationwide, and the foundation has expanded to include support for families and siblings affected by pediatric cancer. Every August 3rd, the anniversary of that night at MetLife Stadium, Madonna holds a benefit concert for the foundation. She always begins with Live to Tell, and she always dedicates it to Aria and all the young people still fighting their battles with courage and grace. Aria Stevens' Final Wish became a foundation that continues to grant final wishes for other young people facing terminal illness. Her story proved that even when life is cut short, the impact of courage and compassion can last forever. Madonna's decision to stop her show that night, to see Aria not as a dying patient, but as a dreamer deserving of respect and love, created ripples that are still touching lives today. The girl who came to say goodbye through music ended up saying hello to a legacy that will help others find strength in their darkest hours. Aria's story reminds us that time isn't measured in years, but in moments of connection, acts of courage, and the love we share with others. Madonna may have given Aria a moment on her stage, but Aria gave Madonna and 60,000 witnesses something far more valuable, a reminder of what it means to live fully, love deeply, and face the future with unshakable hope. If this incredible story of courage and compassion moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with anyone who needs to be reminded that every moment matters and that hope can flourish even in the most difficult circumstances. Have you ever witnessed a moment that changed how you see life? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more amazing stories about the power of music to heal and inspire.